The sun had barely risen when the skies over Earth shattered. It started as a ripple of faint, eerie shimmer over the horizon that many mistook for a heat haze. Then, from the dark folds of the upper atmosphere, massive shapes emerged, blotting out the morning light like malevolent stars falling to Earth. The Zorvith Dominion fleet was here. Cities across the globe froze in disbelief as gargantuan alien warships descended. Their surfaces were slick and black, glowing faintly with bioluminescent veins that pulsed with ominous light. These were no mere explorers, they were conquerors. The Dominion's message was clear: surrender or die. In New York, alarms wailed, drowning out the hum of panic and confusion. Streets flooded with people fleeing, desperate for shelter, but there was nowhere to run. The first plasma blasts tore through the skyline, leveling buildings with inhuman precision. The Zorvith had technology centuries ahead of Earth's, and their soldiers moved with cold efficiency. But Earth had one advantage: the invaders hadn't anticipated the will to survive. On the outskirts of New Delhi, Sunita Patel tightened her grip on a crude metal pipe, the only weapon she had. Her son clung to her side, eyes wide with terror. Around her, neighbors scrambled, some armed with nothing more than improvised weapons, others retreating to basements and alleyways. When the first Zorvith hover tank rumbled down their street, Sunita didn't hesitate. She slipped into the shadows, eyes calculating, heart pounding, with a fierce cry. She surged forward, swinging her pipe like a spear at the tank's undercarriage. Sparks flew as metal met metal. The tank shuddered, then exploded, engulfed in flames. Nearby Zorvith soldiers opened fire, but Sunita and a handful of others disappeared into the maze of alleyways, turning their neighborhood into a death trap. Across the globe, similar stories unfolded. In the ruins of Berlin, a group of university students hacked into the city's emergency broadcast system, using a mix of guerrilla tactics and ancient radio equipment. They sent out a distorted but clear message: fight back, fight together. The Zorvith expected Earth to crumble. Instead, they found it awakening. Military forces scrambled to respond, but even their best commanders had no playbook for this scale of invasion. The world's armies, fractured and often divided, began an uneasy cooperation. Satellite networks relayed battlefield updates in real time. Cyber warfare erupted as Earth's finest hackers infiltrated alien systems, turning enemy drones against their masters. Yet the Zorvith pressed on, deploying ground forces in overwhelming numbers. Skirmishes erupted everywhere, from the flooded streets of Venice to the frozen tundras of Siberia. Earth's cities became battlegrounds where every corner might hide a sniper, and every ruined building whispered of ambushes waiting to happen. Captain Elias Ford led one such ambush in the outskirts of Los Angeles. A former Marine turned resistance. Leader Ford was grim and relentless. His squad moved silently, their weapons calibrated for maximum damage. When the Zorvith patrol came into range, they struck like ghost silent shots, disabling plasma mines and flashbang grenades. The invaders fell in waves, unprepared for the ferocity and cunning of human fighters. They don't just want to win, Ford said, eyes burning with determination. They want to break us, but they don't understand what it means to be human. In the war rooms of Earth's makeshift coalition headquarters, scientists worked feverishly. Dr. Mei Chen, a leading expert in genetics, stared at the glowing alien samples on her table. The Zorvith were not just invaders, they were a living weapon, evolved to dominate. But Dr. Chen's team saw opportunity in that evolution. If we can understand their biology, she said, voice tight with urgency, we can find their weaknesses. And maybe, just maybe, turn their own strength against them. Back on the streets, civilians became soldiers overnight. Sunita's neighborhood was no longer a place of fear, but of fierce resistance. Every barricade built, every trap laid, was a message to the invaders. Earth would not fall quietly yet. As the sun dipped below the horizon on that first brutal day, a chilling realization settled over humanity. The Zorvith were not just here to conquer, they were here to exterminate. Their fleet remained in orbit, dropping reinforcements and weapons with ruthless efficiency. Their technology adapted quickly, learning from every encounter. But humanity adapted faster. From the shadows of ruined cities. A new breed of fighter emerged. Not the trained soldiers, but ordinary people turned warriors by desperation and courage. A teenage coder in Lagos hijacked a downed Zorvith drone and used it to broadcast a rallying cry to the world. An old fisherman in Tokyo rigged his boat with explosives to take down a hover tank. Every small victory was a beacon in the darkness, and somewhere, watching from the flagship Judicator Prime, the Zorvith High Command realized their mistake. They had underestimated Earth, not its weapons, nor its technology, but its spirit. The war for the planet had begun. The shock of the invasion still echoed in every corner of the globe, but humanity refused to be shattered. In the wake of the initial attacks, old rivalries and grudges were set aside. From the burning ruins of Moscow to the flooded streets of Jakarta, a single truth-bound people together, survival at the United Nations headquarters. Now, a reinforced bunker beneath the ruins of New York, leaders gathered. The familiar quarrels over borders, resources, and ideologies vanished in the face of annihilation. With a solemn voice, General Amina Hassan declared the formation of the Earth Coalition, an alliance forged not by politics, but by fire. Outside the conference halls, people mobilized. Scientists, soldiers, hackers, and civilians all rose to the challenge. In hidden labs, researchers pored over alien technology salvaged from crashed ships and downed drones. The Zorvith had come with superior weapons and armor, but their systems, complex and alien, were not impenetrable. Dr. Mei Chen, her face pale but determined, worked with a team of global experts. Hunched over a holographic display pulsing with alien code, she spoke urgently to a group of military strategists. "We've cracked their encryption protocols," she announced. "Their communication arrays use quantum entanglement with predictable key rotation. If we can jam their signals and feed false data, we can disrupt their coordination." Captain Elias Ford leaned in, a grim smile crossing his face. "That means we can turn their own forces against them." "Exactly," May nodded. "It's a race against time, but we've already begun hijacking some of their drones." Across continents, pockets of resistance turned from survival to offense. In the abandoned subway tunnels beneath Paris, a young hacker named Luc Moreau led a squad known as the Phantoms. Using scavenged tech and old military codes, they reprogrammed Zorveth surveillance bots to feed false images, creating illusions of ambushes and phantom reinforcements. One by one, Earth's cities adapted to the invaders' presence, not just fighting them, but outsmarting them. In New Delhi, Sunita Patel found herself leading a ragtag militia of neighbors and former soldiers. The neighborhood had become a fortress, rigged with traps and hidden snipers. But it wasn't just about defense anymore. They were staging raids on Zorveth's supply lines. striking fast and vanishing into the maze of narrow alleys. Her son, Arof, watched with wide eyes as his mother transformed from frightened survivor to fierce warrior. He had learned to operate scavenged radios, sending encrypted messages to resistant cells across the city. "Mum, they're coming," he whispered one night, voice tense. Sunita nodded. "Then we show them why Earth never surrenders." Elsewhere, in the depths of the Amazon rainforest, guerrilla fighters, led by indigenous war chiefs, ambushed Zorvith patrols. Using their intimate knowledge of the terrain, they turned the jungle into a labyrinth of death traps. The invaders were ill-prepared for the deadly mix of nature and human cunning. But the war wasn't just on the ground in orbit. The Zorvith fleet struggled to maintain dominance. Earth's hastily assembled space defense force cobbled together. From decommissioned satellites, commercial ships, and military vessels had begun striking back. Pilots like Lieutenant Sarah Ramirez risked everything in dangerous dogfights, using stolen alien tech integrated into their ships. In a flash of courage and desperation, Sarah executed a daring maneuver, disabling a Zorvith missile carrier's power grid. The explosion lit up the darkness of space like a supernova, a beacon of hope for those below. Yet, even as Earth fought back, the threat of internal collapse loomed large. Not all humans welcomed the unity. In the shadows, factions with hidden agendas saw the invasion as a chance to seize power. Sabotage, misinformation, and fear threatened the fragile coalition. When a crucial communication relay was destroyed by an insider, mistrust rippled through the ranks. General Hassan called an emergency meeting. "We cannot afford to tear ourselves apart now. The Zorvith want us divided. We must be stronger." Meanwhile, the Zorvith High Command, frustrated by the resilience of their prey, unleashed new horrors. Chemical weapons designed to paralyze human nervous systems contaminated water supplies. Cities fell silent under viral bombs that spread invisible death. But Earth had learned a brutal lesson from history's darkest chapters. Suffering breeds strength. In the ruins of Berlin, survivors rallied to rebuild, using underground bunkers and AI-controlled drones to protect the weak. Hospitals improvised treatments with Earth's limited resources, while scientists raced to develop countermeasures to the alien toxins. In a small, makeshift lab beneath the Canadian Rockies, Dr. Mei Chen and her team made a breakthrough serum that could neutralize the worst effects of the Zorvith bioweapons. The news spread quickly, rekindling hope. Back on the front lines, Sunita and her militia faced a grim choice. The Zorvith had surrounded their district, cutting off supplies and reinforcements. They could either fight to the last bullet or risk a desperate escape through enemy lines. "Earth never surrenders," Sunita said, voice steady despite the odds. "But sometimes, survival means knowing when to fight and when to live to fight another day." As darkness fell over the world, a new chapter of humanity's defiance was written not in banners or treaties, but in blood, fire, and unbreakable spirit, from shattered cities to remote jungles, from underground labs to the void of space. Earth was awakening. The invasion was far from over, but humanity had found its fire. Moscow was a frozen graveyard, but for Captain Ivan Sokolov, it was home and battlefield all at once. The snow fell thick, muffling footsteps and masking the deadly game he and his team played in the ruins. To the untrained eye, the city was silent dead, but Ivan knew better. In this war, silence was never safe. His breath steamed in the cold air as he adjusted his thermal goggles, scanning the horizon. A Zorvith patrol was moving through the shattered streets, heavy armor clinking, weapons humming. They thought they were the hunters. But Ivan and his snipers were ready. The first shot cracked like thunder. The alien soldier dropped before he could even raise his plasma rifle. The others spun, alarmed, but before they could regroup, another shot struck. One by one, they fell. Victims to Earth's invisible hunters. Yvonne's voice crackled in the earpiece. Positions hold. They're moving into our trap. In a shadowed alley, a young hacker named Katya crouched behind a pile of rubble, fingers flying over her portable console. She had just hacked the enemy's drone surveillance, feeding it false images that distorted their perception. To the Zorvith, it looked like an army waiting to strike everywhere at once. Patrol is confused, Katya whispered. They're splitting up. Ivan smiled grimly. Perfect. We take them down piece by piece. The snipers shifted positions, melting into the ruins like ghosts. They were humans, yes, but in these moments, they were hunters of legend, stalking a prey that thought itself unstoppable. But Ivan's mind wasn't just on the battle, it was on the scars he carried beneath his skin. Years ago, as a young conscript, he'd been captured by the Zorvith during an expedition gone wrong. The memories of their cold experiments still haunted his dreams. They'd tested his endurance, his pain tolerance, trying to break his spirit. They failed, but the scars remained physical and mental. Now, every bullet he fired was a promise. To himself, to those who didn't survive, to Earth. A sudden crackle broke through the cums. Ivan, came a voice. Harsh, foreign but distorted through Earth's jamming systems. You cannot hide. We will find you. Yvonne's heart raced. The Zorveth had learned to listen. The hunter was about to become the hunted. He gestured sharply. Fall back to the secondary position. Move fast. The team melted away into the snow-covered ruins, leaving false trails and traps behind. As they disappeared, the Zorveth patrol advanced cautiously, unaware that they were walking into a killing ground. Katya grinned as she activated the next phase of their plan. The streetlights flickered and died. Then, explosions ripped through the alleyways, hidden charges set by human engineers. Concrete and steel rained down, crushing Zorveth's soldiers beneath. Yvonne's voice came through again, calm and cold. Now, from hidden nests, Earth's snipers opened fire with lethal precision. The Zorvith were caught off guard, falling before they could organize. But the battle was far from over. Suddenly, a sharp scream echoed through the Ruenza human voice. Ambush. They're flanking us. Ivan cursed. The Zorvith had sent reinforcements, faster and more ruthless. His squad was outnumbered, cornered. Regroup at Point Echo, Ivan ordered. Don't engage unless necessary. As they retreated, Ivan caught sight of a figure moving with unnatural speed, an alien war captain, different from the others. Larger, armored with bioorganic plating that shimmered in the cold light. It moved with lethal grace, tracking the humans like a predator. Ivan knew who it was, the same war captain who had ordered his capture years ago. He was back that night. In a hidden bunker beneath the city, Ivan briefed his commanders. The war captain, known as Kalon, was no ordinary foe. He was intelligent, cruel, and adaptive, a warrior born for hunting. More importantly, he had knowledge of Earth's defenses and tactics. We can't fight him head-on, Ivan said. We need to turn his arrogance against him. Katya nodded. I've been working on a digital trap. We can lure him into a network of hacked drones, create a virtual maze he can't escape. It's risky, Ivan admitted. But might be the only way. Over the next few days, the resistance set their plan in motion. Through hacked communications, they sent false signals of a high-value target moving through Moscow's underground tunnels, trap-baited with Ivan's own team as decoys. Kalen took the bait. The alien war captain led a strike force deep into the labyrinth beneath the city. But as he pursued the phantom target, Earth's drones swarmed, cutting off escape routes and bombarding him with electromagnetic pulses designed to disrupt his armor's neural interface. Kalon roared in frustration, striking drones out of the air with his bioorganic claws, but the drones kept coming, relentless dot above ground. Ivan and his squad waited for the signal. Katya's voice came through the comms, tense but triumphant. He's caught in the grid, initiating lockdown. Massive steel doors slammed shut in the tunnels, trapping Kalon and his forces. Ivan moved in with his snipers, closing the net. In a final, desperate charge, Kalon unleashed his primal fury, tearing through drones and soldiers alike. But Earth's hunters were patient and precise. Shot after shot found their mark, until the war captain collapsed, his armor cracked and lifeblood seeping into the frozen earth. Ivan stood over the fallen alien, breathing heavily. "You hunted me once," he said softly, "but now you're the prey." The battle for Moscow ended with a message to the Dominion. Earth's fighters were not prey to be hunted. They were hunters born from fire and ice. As the Zorvith retreated to regroup, humanity's spirit burned brighter. Ivan looked to the horizon, where the first rays of dawn pierced the darkness. The war was far from over, but Earth had learned how to survive and how to strike back. Deep beneath the scorched earth of what was once the Australian outback, the hidden laboratory hummed with unnatural life. Flickering fluorescent lights cast sharp shadows over gleaming steel tables and tangled wires. At the center lay a figure, still, wrapped in a cocoon of biotechnological restraints. This was a sap, foul, part human, part alien, born of desperation and science. Dr. Lena Moreau adjusted the settings on her console, eyes scanning vitals and neural feedback. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of what she was about to do. "Ashfall," she whispered. "It's time." Years ago, when the Zorveth first invaded, Earth's brightest minds united under a secret project to create the ultimate soldier, someone who could bridge two worlds, wield alien power with human will. They harvested DNA from fallen soldiers and captured invaders, blending genes in a delicate balance. Ashfall was the result. His name came from the radioactive dust that settled over the lab during a failed bombing radar symbol of rebirth from destruction. With a hiss, the restraints released. Ashfall's eyes snapped open, glowing faintly with a strange inner light. His gaze was sharp, almost predatory, but beneath the alien veneer was a deeply human soul, tangled with memories he didn't fully understand. "Can you hear me, Lena?" asked voice, barely above a whisper. Ashfall's lips parted. "I hear ... everything." He flexed his fingers, feeling the strange power coursing beneath his skin. Enhanced strength, heightened senses, reflexes beyond any human soldier. But with it came a torrent of conflicting emotions, rage, confusion, and a deep longing for something lost. "Your mission is simple," Lena said, stepping closer. "Infiltrate the Zorveth fleet, learn their secrets, turn their weapons against them. You are Earth's edge, our salvation." Ashfall's eyes narrowed. "I am ... both." In the days that followed, Ashfall trained relentlessly. Soldiers, scientists, and AI tutors pushed him to master control over his hybrid abilities. But the greatest challenge was mastering his fractured identity alien instincts, clawing against human conscience. One night, alone in his quarters, Ashfall stared at a cracked mirror. His reflection was a blur of flesh and metal, human and alien. He clenched his fists, a storm of questions swirling inside. Who was he, really? Man, monster, or something new? His answer came sooner than expected. An emergency alert shattered the lab's uneasy calm. Alarms blared as a fleet of Zorveth reinforcements descended toward the lab's coordinates. The invasion was relentless and they wanted the secret weapon. Destroyed before it could be unleashed, Lena grabbed her tablet. We need to evacuate now. Ashfall's eyes glowed brighter. No, I fight. With lightning speed, he surged through the corridors, disabling security locks and intercepting the incoming assault. His enhanced senses detected every enemy before they appeared, his hybrid reflexes cutting down soldiers with brutal precision. But as the battle raged, Ashfall's mind flickered with memories, flashes of captivity, of alien voices commanding, pain and obedience, of a woman's face blurred by time, fights. The voices whispered, but Ashfall fought for more than survival. He fought for humanity. In the lab's control center, Lena watched the battle unfold on monitors, heart pounding. Ashfall was more than a weapon. He was a beacon of hope. Suddenly, a transmission crackled through the chaos, a message from Earth's coalition. Ashfall, you are our last hope. We have a mission for you. Infiltrate the Judicator Prime. Gather intel, sabotage their command systems. The Judicator Prime was the Zorveth flagship, a colossal warship capable of destroying entire cities with a single strike. If Ashfall could penetrate its defenses, the tide of war could turn. Ashfall's gaze hardened. Then I will become the shadow they fear. As the lab fell into ruin behind him, Ashfall vanished into the night. A ghost born from fire and ash dot, but within him a secret simmered, one that could either save Earth or doom it to darkness. For the alien DNA in his veins whispered a truth no one dared speak aloud. The Zorveth had a plan far more terrifying than invasion. They sought not just conquest, but evolution. Asterisk. The Judicator Prime was unlike anything Ashfall had ever seen. A massive behemoth of gleaming black armor, it floated silently in geosynchronous orbit above Earth, a dark god watching over its prey. Its surface shimmered with bioorganic plating that seemed to pulse with life, veins of light tracing impossible patterns across its hull. Ashfall stood on the observation deck of a commandeered shuttle, his glowing eyes narrowing. This was the heart of the Zorveth Dominion, the nerve center of their war machine, and he was about to walk right into the lion's den. The shuttle's hatch hissed open, and Ashfall slipped out like a shadow, moving with predatory grace. His hybrid senses picked up everything: the subtle shifts in the air, the low hum of alien technology, the faintest footfalls of patrolling guards. His mission was simple in theory: infiltrate the ship, locate the command core, and sabotage their systems. But Judicator Prime was designed to repel intruders, and Ashfall knew every step could be his last dot inside the sprawling corridors. The walls pulsed with organic life, shifting and responding to the ship's needs. Alien soldiers, clad in adaptive armor that seemed to meld with their skin, patrolled relentlessly. But Ashfall was no ordinary enemy. With his enhanced strength and reflexes, he moved through the shadows, neutralizing threats silently. In the Central Command Hub, a colossal chamber filled with swirling holograms and alien glyphs. The Zorvith High Commander awaited. Known as Vreth, he was a towering figure, exuding cold authority and merciless intelligence. Vretha's eyes locked onto Ashfall's approaching silhouette with a mix of surprise and disdain. "You," Vretha's voice dripping with venom, "the abomination. You betray your kind and mock ours." Ashfall's voice was calm, but fierce. "I serve Earth now. Your reign ends." Vreth laughter, chilling sound like grinding metal. "You know nothing of power. We are evolution incarnate. This ship is not just a war vessel, it is the crucible of our future." As they faced off, alarms blared. Ashfall's intrusion had triggered lockdown protocols. The corridors sealed, trapping both hunter and prey in a deadly cage. Vreth gestured, and bioorganic spikes erupted from the walls, aiming to impale. Ashfall dodged with supernatural speed, retaliating with blows that shattered alien armor and cracked bone. The battle was brutal, a dance of strength and willpower. Ashfall's hybrid abilities pushed him to the brink, but Vreth's centuries of combat experience made him a formidable foe. Amid the clash, Ashfall glimpsed the command core, a pulsating orb of light that controlled the ship's systems and its devastating weapon arrays. Destroying it would cripple the Judicator Prime and buy Earth precious time, but Vreth was relentless. With a roar, he unleashed a surge of energy that sent Ashfall crashing against the walls. Pain seared through his body, but his resolve burned brighter. Drawing on the last reserves of strength, Ashfall charged, slamming into Vreth with all his might. The High Commander staggered, allowing Ashfall to reach the core, hands glowing. With alien energy, Ashfall plunged his fists into the orb. The ship trembled violently as systems failed, lights flickered, and alarms screamed. But the core fought back. A psychic shockwave pulsed through the chamber, threatening to rip Ashfall apart. His hybrid mind struggled to withstand the assault. Memories and alien whispers flooding his consciousness. Images flashed, visions of the Zorvath's dark past, their rise through endless war, and their ultimate goal, a forced evolution that would consume all life, Earth included. Ashfall gritted his teeth, fighting the invasion of his mind. "Not today," he growled. With a final, desperate surge, he shattered the core. The chamber exploded in a storm of light and sound. Thrown through the corridors, Ashfall barely kept his footing. The ship shuddered as critical systems failed, and an emergency evacuation sequence began. As he raced toward the shuttle bay, a chilling realization settled in. This was only the beginning. The Zorvith had planted many more command cores, and the war for Earth's survival would demand sacrifices beyond anything humanity had known. But Ashfall was ready, because in the shadows of the Judicator Prime, he had become something new, neither human nor alien, but a bridge between two worlds, and a beacon of hope for a planet on the brink. The news of the Judicator Prime's crippled command core spread like wildfire through Earth's battered cities and war zones. For the first time since the invasion, hope flickered, a fragile ember amid ash and ruin, but the victory came at a cost. Ashfall had barely escaped the collapsing flagship, his body battered and mind reeling from the psychic backlash. Back at the Coalition's command bunker, he lay on a sterile bed, wires feeding vital data into his hybrid physiology. Dr. Lena Moreau stood by, watching anxiously. "You pushed yourself too hard," she said softly, the alien DNA inside. "You is still unstable." Ashfall's eyes opened, glowing faintly. I had no choice. The Judicator's destruction bought Earth time. Outside, the world was shifting. The Zorvith, furious and desperate, unleashed a new wave of attacks. Their ships darkened skies over major cities, dropping scorched earth and bioweapons. The coalition scrambled to respond, but fractures began to show. In New York, General Amin Hassan stood before a map of the battlefront, her expression grim. We're stretched thin. The Dominion adapts faster than we can strike. Beside her, Captain Elias Ford clenched his fists. If we don't hit them where it hurts, they'll crush us. We need new allies, Amina said. Not just on Earth. Her gaze turned to a communications officer who nodded briskly. The Martian colonies, they've remained neutral until now. Mars was humanity's distant outposts, struggling to survive, but equipped with advanced tech and a fleet of patrol ships. Convincing them to join the fight could tip the balance. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Amazon, Sunita Patel prepared her militia for a daring mission. We take the fight to their supply lines, cut their reinforcements. Her son Arof, now a skilled radio operator, transmitted coded messages across the resistance networks. Every victory counts, Sunita reminded him, but the Dominion won't give up. Back in the Coalition bunker, Ashfall received a transmission. It was a message from an unexpected source, a defecting Zorveth scientist named Karel. I have information. The voice crackled. The Dominion's plan is worse than you think. Ashfall leaned forward. Speak. Karel's words chilled. The Zorvith, do not seek mere conquest. They intend to reshape all life. Their bioweapons are only the beginning. Soon they will unleash the catalyst, a genetic virus that will rewrite DNA on a planetary scale. Lena gasped. A forced evolution. They want to remake Earth's species in their image. Amina slammed her fist on the table. Then we have to stop it, no matter the cost. Plans were hastily drawn to strike the Dominion's biolabs hidden deep beneath the Pacific Ocean's floor. Ashfall volunteered to lead the mission, his hybrid nature making him the perfect infiltrator. As preparations unfolded, Ashfall sought out Ivan Sokolov, the sniper who had bested the alien war captain. In Moscow, I need your skills, Ashfall said. Precision, strategy. This will be unlike any fight you've faced. Ivan nodded, eyes hard. Earth needs every chance it can get. Together, they assembled a team: soldiers, hackers, scientists, all united in purpose. The night before the mission, Ashfall stood alone, gazing at the stars. The same stars that had witnessed the birth of the invasion now bore witness to humanity's defiance. He thought of Lena, of Sunita and Arov, of Amina and Ivan and the countless others who refused to surrender. A storm was coming, but it would be humanity's storm, and from its fury, Earth would rise. Asterisk, the ocean was a vast, dark expanse, silent except for the low hum of the submersible's engines slicing through the cold abyss. Ashfall sat in the cockpit, eyes glowing softly in the dim light, his mind a tempest of focus and anticipation. Around him, the crew moved with practiced efficiency. Ivan Sokolov checked weapons and coordinates. Sunita Patel reviewed tactical data. Arov Patel manned communications. Every heartbeat felt amplified, every breath heavier. As they neared the Dominion's biolab, buried deep beneath the Mariana Trench. This is it, Ivan said quietly. The heart of their catalyst program. Ashfall's hybrid senses tingled. The biolab wasn't just a facility, was a living organism. The Zorvith had fused technology with alien biology. creating a fortress that breathed and adapted. Expect heavy resistance, Ashfall warned. The Dominion knows this mission threatens their endgame. The submersible docked silently in a concealed cavern. As the hatch hissed open, a wave of cold, sterile air washed over them. The team moved like shadows, slipping into the labyrinthine corridors of the lab inside. Walls pulsed with alien tissue, veins of glowing bioluminescence lighting their path. The air was thick with chemicals, and something else, something alive. Suddenly, the silence shattered. A chorus of guttural alien snarls echoed from the shadows. Bioengineered guardians, hulking creatures fused from Zorvith. DNA and Earth's deepest predators lunged from hidden alcoves. Gunfire erupted. Ivan's sniper rifle barked death from afar, taking down the beasts before they could overwhelm. Sunita and Arav covered the flanks, laying down suppressive fire while Ashfall moved forward, blending speed and strength. Deeper into the lab, they found the catalyst itself, glowing, pulsating vial, suspended in a containment field, humming with energy. The virus it contained was capable of rewriting the DNA of entire ecosystems, turning Earth's flora and fauna into twisted versions of the Zorvith. We have to destroy it. Lena's voice came through, trembling. But the containment field is powered by a central reactor. Take that down, and the virus will destabilize. As they moved to sabotage the reactor, alarms blared. The Dominion was sending reinforcements, elite soldiers and war machines, designed for close combat. Ashfall felt a familiar surge of psychic pressure, a signature of the High Commander Vreth, still alive and hunting them through the labyrinth. Ashfall growled, "He won't let this end." In a narrow corridor, they confronted him. The High Commander was more terrifying than ever, his bioorganic armor fused with the lab's living structure, making him nearly invincible. The battle was brutal. Ashfall and Ivan coordinated attacks, but Vreth adapted, turning their own weapons against them. The corridor shook as Vreth unleashed waves of psychic energy, testing Ashfall's mental limits. Sunita shouted, "We need to pull back." The reactor's too well defended, but Ashfall refused to yield. Not while the catalyst still lives. With a roar, he charged, using his hybrid abilities to tear through Vreth's armor. Ivan fired precise shots, targeting the joints and weak points. Sunita and Arav laid down covering fire, creating an opening in a final desperate move. Ashfall seized a shard of the reactor's core and drove it into Vreth's chest. The High Commander screamed a sound of rage and agony as his form began to dissolve, the bioorganic fusion breaking apart. Vreth's last words echoed in Ashfall's mind. "You cannot stop the evolution." With Vreth defeated, Ashfall turned to the reactor controls. Ivan and Sunita set charges while Arav hacked the containment system, initiating a countdown as the lab began to collapse. The team raced back through twisting corridors. The walls trembled, glowing with unstable energy, bursting into the cavern. They jumped into the submersible just as the biolab exploded behind them. Brilliant burst of light and sound as they ascended through the dark ocean. Ashfall looked back toward the ruins of the Dominion's strongest hold. The catalyst was gone, but the war was far from over. The sky above Earth burned red with the fires of battle. The Zorvith fleet, battered but unbroken, rained destruction on every continent. Cities crumbled, forests turned to ash, and oceans boiled under relentless bombardment. But Earth did not fall. From the depths of despair, humanity rose. Ashfall, battered but unyielding, stood alongside the coalition's leaders in the command bunker, a fortress carved into the heart of the Rocky Mountains. His glowing eyes reflected the holographic maps and battle reports flashing. Before him, General Amina Hassan's voice cut through the tension. The Judicator Prime is lost, the Catalyst destroyed, but the Dominion's remaining forces regrouping for a final assault. Lena Moreau stepped forward. Mission bought us time, but it's not enough. We need to strike their homeworld. Murals of Earth's history, war, struggle, triumph seemed to pulse behind them. A reminder of what was at stake. Ashfall clenched his fists. Then we take the fight to them, not as prey, but as predators. The Coalition's fleet, battered, but fierce, prepared for the journey. Earth's finest pilots, soldiers, and scientists volunteered to join Ashfall's vanguard. Among them were Ivan Sokolov, Sunita Patel, and Arab heroes forged in fire. As the fleet launched, Ashfall looked to the stars, the cold void between worlds. The Zorvith homeworld shrouded in mystery and menace awaited. The journey was perilous. Zorveth patrols and warships ambushed them at every turn. But Ashfall's leadership, hybrid abilities, and the indomitable human spirit turned the tide again and again. Finally, they reached the enemy's dark orbit. The homeworld loomed, a planet of swirling storms and alien spires. Guarded by a fortress fleet unlike any before, Ashfall addressed the Coalition's forces. This is our moment. We fight not just for survival, but for our future. The battle that followed was a storm of fire and steel. Explosions lit the heavens as ships clashed. Ashfall led a strike team deep into the enemy's stronghold, cutting through defenses with ruthless precision. Within the alien citadel, Ashfall confronted the remnants of the Zorveth leadership. The final battle was fierce, a clash of wills and power unlike any before. In the end, it was humanity's unbreakable spirit that prevailed as the last Zorveth commanders fell. Ashfall stood amidst the ruins, a symbol of unity between two worlds. Forged in conflict and hope, back on Earth, the survivors began to rebuild. Cities rose from the ashes, alliances strengthened, and humanity looked to the stars with newfound determination. Ashfall, now a legend, gazed at the horizon. Knowing the fight had changed everything, Earth would never bow to invaders, because this planet was home not just to humans, but to warriors born of fire and ash. And they would fight to the last breath to keep it that way.